This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Not always said out loud.
All right, we will call this meeting of the 9/11 Tribute Committee to order. Public speak. Anyone speak on things not on the agenda related to the site walk? Hearing none, we will go ahead and we will move on to review of site walk and open public discussion on design ideas and location. So yes, we walked over to the two sites, one here at the Nashawanek Pond and the other at the Public Safety Complex. Those are the two sites that this committee has decided probably make the most sense for what it is we are looking to do. You've all now seen where it is we're looking to do this. I'd like to just open it up to some discussion of what people think we should do and where we should do it. And I was hearing a little conversation over this way. You folks had some ideas. I want to get to you, but I want to first open up to members of the public. You could introduce yourself.
Bill Simmons.
Wonderful.
Retired from the fire department.
Excellent.
There's a third location which you weren't aware of, across from the old firehouse, next to it. The city owns it by virtue of a quitclaim deed from Williston, and it was a park. And the language in that quitclaim deed referred to the city would maintain in perpetuity ownership of that property as long as it remained a park. If it wasn't a park, it would revert back to Williston. I just drove by there. It appears to be a park. Don't know if legally it still is or not. But the city invested money in it. Federal government invested money in it because they were able to secure a federal bicentennial loan. Not a loan, grant back in '75. And so there's infrastructure in there. There's a water line because there was a water fountain there. And I believe the city did not pull the water line out. I believe it's still there. So it's a third location. And if the committee is looking for, if one of the criteria for erecting a monument is visibility, you got to think down the road, 100 years from now, 150 years from now, people coming from Pennsylvania and they're driving down 141 or whatever. They're not going to drive over here to see a monument over there or even over here to see a monument. But out there, it could be an eye catcher. Not that it's going to be a destination, don't get me wrong. It's just an idea. I just would like to see the committee have a foresight down the road a long way from here, because whatever gets erected is going to be there a long time from now.
Can you explain where that location is exactly?
Along Railroad Street. You know where that bike rack is, right? Where the, what would you call it? What's this trail out here? The bike trail. Right where the bike trail crosses Union Street, there's a bike rack, a pink bike rack. That's it right there.
Is that where the
It's
The
this
city-
parcel here, Railroad and Liberty, that section right there.
Yeah, there's a fire hydrant at the base of Liberty Street, but it's more northerly, it's more towards Union Street, the park area itself.
Yeah, I know that part that you're referring to. I don't think we were really looking at that location.
Right, it was never brought up to you, you know. So,
Yeah. I mean, does the committee have thoughts on that location? I personally, I agree with the wanting that visibility. And you definitely get more visibility from cars going down Union.
absolutely.
On the what would that be? The east side, the Liberty Street side, there's a pad that is the current RFP that the ECA put
that's
out.
what I was thinking of. I was wondering if that was the same place.
And I'm not sure.
It's probably a little more northerly it has, probably closer to Union Street. I think if you were to draw it out. I don't have a
Here, I
pen.
can do this here.
Can you-
We just
can you
go
do
on.
a
So we can just
aerial
flip it up there.
view?
Yeah, I'm gonna cast it. That also works.
Perfect.
It's not
Look at it
that
on the
big of a,
screen.
it's not that big of a parcel. You know, it's probably smaller than this room, actually.
So we're talking,
Where are we now?
so there's like this here.
Actually, if you would be so kind, we'll just go to here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on the record.
So it's not that one. Wrong button. There we go. So if we're looking here. Two layers.
Can you do a satellite? There you go, satellite.
So I know you're talking like here.
So are we on the Liberty Street side or the Railroad Street side?
Here's the firehouse right there.
Yeah.
Right
Okay.
Oh, that.
Here
Yeah,
is
there's
where
a-
that park is, right here.
Okay.
When you said Liberty Street, I was thinking Center Street.
So there is another pad, and then the pad you're
It's
talking
right in
about
here.
is there's a pad right here. as
Right,
well.
that, on that side of the street is
That's what
where,
we're talking about over
right,
here now.
right.
Yeah.
On that side of the street is where the current RFP is up for,
Yeah.
but nothing on the Railroad Street side.
Or the west side of Union Street.
Here we go. Yeah.
Is anything occupied now?
A tree.
So, yeah, there's some
There's a
little
tree, there's a
stuff.
big tree there, right in the middle of it.
Is there?
Yeah.
Do,
Aren't there like plantings and things there? Is it the place I'm thinking of? A little free library?
there is one that's a little bit further down, but what I'm
Okay.
gonna try to do.
Just drop this in there, little guy.
Here,
There you go.
so there's, so the library and things on there, but there'd be a spot.
That big bike rack, lavender there. Yeah, but there's the tree, right there. That's the area right there. Zoom
Okay.
back, zoom that back. in. Yeah, right behind that pole.
Grassy area?
Yeah, that grassy area, right where that
Right
tree is.
Here or.
Right in there, right. There is a water line in there. If the city didn't take it out, I'm sure it's still there. I don't think they would have spent the money to take it out.
And then if we just spin around, we can see the other one that Mike is.
Was there electricity in the ground at all?
No.
It's just the water line.
Yeah.
And that's
That's the pad there.
Oh, is
yeah.
it? Okay.
And that's the pad that's currently.
What's that pad for? What is that?
It's a,
There's a current, RFP out for a mosaic statue.
Oh, okay. All right.
and then I wonder, because is there an RFP for this one, this pad here too?
Have not seen an RFP for that pad.
Because I wonder if you can, this has power to it. So there must be power under there somehow, maybe it could get pulled from too, so there's the power.
Do we need power?
Yeah,
Well, I
really.
don't know, not necessarily, but I don't know if it'd be something that would
Just
want lights
Be
or
aware,
depending on the,
if you,
I'll be quiet.
if you put power to a monument, you gotta pay for it for
Well, that's, yeah,
forever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, a little solar light, yeah. there we
Solar
go.
lighting.
Yep, exactly.
Is that pad, is there a future for that pad or is it open, like, to
I think
be
it's
used?
open right now, because there's an RFP for the one across the way. They put them in at the same time, so I'm assuming long-term, excuse me, long-term ECA most likely has a plan for it, but I don't think there is one currently. Well, there's also,
Might be worth finding out though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just threw it out there to take into consideration because I know it hadn't been thought of.
No, that's,
No.
yeah, appreciate it.
Listening to
But
all you
also-
guys.
just for like, the pad's probably, what, 3 feet by 3 feet?
Four
size
by
one?
four, I think. is
4 by
what
4?
they- What
Yeah.
they put in, yeah.
That was close. And then, while we're here, just for the sake of seeing the world, you can go look at our other site too.
You're having too much fun over there.
Turn them loose.
I believe, sir, you count as a member of the public for this meeting, so.
Okay. Oh, there you go. There's your other site. And now this is actually good perspective because you see that little more thrown in and so on.
Yeah.
There's the other one we're talking about.
It's another pad.
Let's get the one here. So yeah, we still got the options. I mean, as we think about finalizing where we want to do a location, what do we think about for actual ideas for the monument itself? What do we actually want to do? I guess we can start over here with you folks. You had some ideas here.
So, I mean, Caroline and I discussed, possibly maybe like a granite type stone, or any kind of monument that would, kind of encapsulate what the original reaction to the 9/11 events were in this area. So, which was raising the flag over the pond. And maybe have that kind of in the scene on the stone in the background of the mountain and everything like that with the pond there. And an inscription with, basically how that came about and the meaning of it.
We don't have, you don't have an artifact from 911, do you? You don't.
There aren't any available. as
Prospects
far
of
as-
getting one? No. Not, okay, well,
We explored that in the
Yeah.
first meeting and Tom looked into it. And was it, we're 10 years?
About
too
10
late?
years too late.
So that idea wouldn't really necessarily lead us to an RFP then. If it were to be a plaque of some sort, then it would just be up to us to kind of design a plaque on a monument, as
Yeah.
opposed to, we talked, and I'm not married to any of this stuff, as far as we have to do it. We had talked about maybe doing an RFP, sort of like the ECA did, and let the artists come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
But that was just something we talked about. I mean,
Yeah, no, and I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think that we both thought that because we're in Easthampton and that it seems like the flag and the response locally continues to have, engender strong feelings, and it's a really local response to, I mean, as you all know, I was in New York at that time, and it kind of rocked my worldview, rocked my view of living in the city, rocked my view of everything. And I think everyone has, everyone's going to bring what they bring to, the whole, the story behind it. But if you're in Easthampton, many people still associate that
was the
with
grassroots response here, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't think I think that there's still room to interpret that. I mean, you can, there are many ways to depict that, abstractly or in some, I mean, I'm not an artist, so I would do a collage or something, so I think that, I guess that's what
It could
I'm
still
thinking.
be,
Yeah,
and it doesn't necessarily have to be a granite monument, it could be something else,
it
right?
could
Exactly,
be anything,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm thinking here and like monument stone, plaque on the monument stone that
Maybe.
perhaps maybe, shows the image of the flag over Nashwanik Pond and then tells the story of how the grassroots response, how Easthampton responded to 9/11. Tell a little bit of that story. I think we could, I'll just figure out what we want to say on that plaque, but I think that's the general idea here with this.
That's an idea, but I think again, I want to emphasize, I think that an artist, I mean, I would hope that they would put their own view on that, or their own spin on that, their own sort of way of depicting that. And maybe they'll say like, I don't want to do that. I mean, I think it's wrong to tell an artist what to do, but, I don't know. I don't know how you would do that without kind of saying like, this is what we want. But I think encouraging some kind of incorporation of that iconic.
why
image.
not? Why wouldn't you tell them? I mean, wouldn't you suggest to them,
Yeah,
here's what
Yeah.
we're thinking, can you help us out?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That can be designed right through one of the monument places. Like I've worked with Negus and Taylor before. They could include like the landscape behind the flag and everything in the pond right on the stone. And they can inscribe it right on the stone too, whatever we have. So I mean, I think we can get a good idea if we were ordering it like as if we were ordering a cemetery stone. That might be a kind of a simple way to keep it all consolidated to one place.
It would also move it along much faster than
Right.
trying to develop an RFP and going out to the public and then having some committee decide, which is the best idea from that.
But then you run the risk of it looking like a tombstone, and
Well,
having that like,
Mike has been, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so my thought was kind of on that, was to have a granite with the top being like a 45, and you do a bronze relief on the top of that, reflecting the landscape of the flag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can kind of stand up and look at it like this, and look up at the pond that it's down here, and kind of see that, and then whatever inscription and stuff or what have you and stuff, something like that, instead of engraving it on the granite itself, actually
Sure.
have a nice beautiful bronze plaque on the top. I don't know,
Yeah, sure.
something like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I was involved in a committee, and Mike has been here, the only one in this room that besides me has been here, top of the mountain, B-17. And it's a simple, black,
Yeah.
shiny black granite thing, and you have to be really careful. We thought a long time about what to put on that monument. And it came, you have to think down the road. You don't want to be telling a whole narrative of what happened,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it needs to be concise.
Concise, you know, like in memory of the people who passed or were whatever in New York and Pennsylvania and Washington on such and such a date. You know, it has to be really simple. Because again, thinking way down the road, 100 years from now, people are not even gonna know what 911 was.
And I mean, I like both ideas. Man I worked for many years passed away about a year ago, and he has a beautiful stone at the East Street Cemetery that is a picture of their original barn. And I was just amazed at what they can do on stone.
In the stone.
Yeah,
In this, it's the
Yeah.
face of the stone, and it
it's amazing.
is amazing what they can do with
Oh,
stone.
yeah.
But I don't know how that holds up over time. Obviously, the etching isn't as deep. I think a raised relief brass marker probably would hold up better over, 50, 100 years. But
And the only negative thing I have to say about that is because we consider it as vandalism. That brass flag could disappear overnight. Not
Yeah,
to say that's not a
especially-
good idea,
especially
but
that,
it could disappear into the junkyard overnight. That's the problem. You have to consider stuff like that.
all right, so I guess we're talking about this site and I don't want to delay discussion of the other sites, but what with that same sort of thing really wouldn't fit at a different site.
Not,
I think if we're recognizing the Nashawanek Pond Memorial in part of this, I think it does necessitate going over there because it seems a little weird to have the in my opinion, public safety complex, or even over by the old firehouse to have kind of that portrait of the.
just small town. I mean, it's such a small, it's not very far.
No,
Yeah,
but I think personally, I think it makes, if you're talking about that, to have it there at the site, and I think it kind of fits into that theme of reflection. It's there, it's right in front of the pond, and it's talking about that. If we want to be specific to that, I think that's the location for it. But perhaps if we're saying something else on,
Have you talked
Monument.
to any of the other members of public safety about this? Have anybody given you any comments, what they thought?
No, I mean, we put an email out, we haven't got any,
You didn't get a lot.
no.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of positive stuff on the social media posts that I put out either.
yeah,
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So if it were at the safety complex or near Railroad Street, what do we think might be appropriate there? And how does that tie, I mean, again, I'm thinking about how do you tie it back to Easthampton?
I'll be honest with you, if the only way I think it would work at the other two sites is if we had an artifact.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
think with incorporating the flag and the view and stuff, it's gotta be down
we had a
here.
giant piece of steel, it'd be great over there.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
if we
But
had an
we don't,
artifact.
so
but we
that's why I
don't,
asked right away. We had an artifact.
you know.
Well, I'm perfectly comfortable with the idea that we've been talking about, but
We'll have to have an official vote on the next meeting because we don't have a quorum.
we have a quorum, but Yep, we've got 5 out of 7. We're only down 2 members, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
Oh, we're only missing 2. Yeah, all right.
Only down 2. But we'll let everybody get here. I think we've got an idea. It's sounding like over there, something recognizing the history of kind of our response as a community to it. You want to talk about, I know some folks from the fire department went down there. If that's something we want to incorporate into the story, I think that's worth putting in there. Kind of saying, you know, how I think we should come up with some options of what the story is we want to tell on that plaque, what it should show. And then we can really discuss kind of the brass tacks of, are we thinking monument stone, brass, copper? I always
I like the idea when you mentioned about vandalism.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a consideration.
Back to the
We even
great stuff.
thought about putting up a B-17 propeller up there, but they'd take it for the steel. It would have been gone by now.
that old plane crash over by
On Lawrence Road.
no, the one in the reservoir there over by what's the name of the big reservoir for Boston? What's that called?
Lovin'.
Quabbin.
Robin?
There was an old plane that had crashed, pilot ejected, and no one knew who the plane was for years. Boy Scouts eventually found it, and then after it was found, that plane got absolutely
Oh, yeah, I
looted.
bet, yeah.
There's landing gear still
Sure.
there, and that's all you can see. Which is sad because
Yeah,
it's very cool having a
Reality.
crashed plane out there you can go visit.
Right.
reality. Huh?
One of the advantages of a stone is very hard to steal
Yeah,
back.
and there's no resale value.
That you get. But I do know you bolt on a
Yeah,
plaque well enough.
epoxy and Bolton and stuff.
It's hard to get it off there. And I think one of the advantages,
Oh,
one
are
of
you
the,
kidding? That could be, I don't care how you put that thing on there. They have it off there in 10 minutes. You have no idea.
Camera in that corner of the building too.
it's a high traffic visibility
Visible
area.
area.
It's just somebody working on a stone, no problem. Everybody drives by
Yeah.
and do it at noontime and they'd still take it.
I do have, it's small, but I do have a piece of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
At the
You do?
station next door.
Okay.
Yeah, it's small. It's probably about this big of granite. You're welcome to,
Oh, that's right.
maybe we can
Somebody show
incorporate
it.
that in the stone or something, so at least
Sure.
a piece of the World Trade Center's in there.
That would be-
So
that
you're
would
more
be
than
great.
welcome to,
Yeah.
whatever,
That would be
Hollow
great.
out an area.
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
at least have a piece.
Yeah.
That's all I can offer. I bring
Yeah.
it back.
You brought
That's a
that
good
up.
idea.
But yeah, so you're welcome to sit in the display case in there.
Yeah.
No one sees it. I'd rather have it.
Yeah.
for this.
that's much
I
better
never
over
went
here,
went
absolutely.
down there
Mm.
after, like, I couldn't go down there.
No,
Couldn't.
yeah,
It was like a mile from my office.
was it? Yeah.
So it's on display in the,
Yeah, it's in the display case in there. I put that with my pass, my red pass
You're
that
right,
gets,
yeah.
get me into Ground
FEMA
Zero and
pass,
stuff
yeah.
is in there. A couple of small, things, so are in there. So, and feel free to take a look at it. But yeah, we're welcome to take that.
Lobby display case?
Yeah, no, upstairs,
Upstairs.
upstairs in that, yeah, in our,
Fire display.
yes, this fire display case, yeah.
Which means actually nobody ever sees it.
Nobody sees it. Nobody knows it's there.
Your guys.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I think between now and the next meeting, sounds like we've kind of got a broad idea of what we want to go. If we want to come up with maybe more concrete ideas, we can talk about it as a group. Any members of the public would like to join us again, we'd love to have you in the discussion. And then possibly even take a vote for the design. Next step after that would be putting out RFP to folks who can actually develop this and then go from there. How do we all feel about that general timeline for the next 2 meetings?
Sounds good.
so
Wonderful.
voting at the, sorry.
Yes.
Discussion and voting at the next meeting. So yeah, between now and then, I think we've kind of narrowed it to stone, possibly with metal, possibly without, and then story and image on the stone. I think try to talk about come up with ideas of what we want that story to be. Then after that, then we know exactly, the types of folks who make these types of monuments. We can put out RFPs to them, see what we get, and then we'll have a target for what we know we need to fund for. All right. I think that's all I've got. Anything else that we want to talk about for today? Not. We have scheduled next
Yeah.
meeting. I just put us at the same Monday, first Monday of next month. Is that still good for everybody here?
That should be-
Add it to my personal calendar.
Is there any,
So that'll be May 4th.
Pay for it. Yep.
Yeah. I got a 6:30 meeting, I got a plan.
oh, okay.
But
No diehard Star Wars
6
fans
o'clock?
here? May the 4th?
I said it. No one else heard me. No one.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
6 PM. Yep.
We're doing a fundraising right now for our
Oh, yeah.
80th anniversary of that crash up
Is
there.
that
With my little brother.
Yeah.
And we're designing the second edition of the pin, the lapel pin that we originally designed back in '96. And it's going to be very similar. It's similar. It's going to look like the stone pretty much, but it's going to be round, black pearl with a relief image of the plane and just the simple dates. And a fundraising thing, that's the kind of, you got to make it.
Just one minute, we good there?
Oh, yeah.
Motion
Sorry. Let me go ahead.
Move to adjourn.
We'll do adjourn second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.